Hey, divorcing gracefully and beyond sisters. Happy Thursday. I hope everybody is doing well. And I have an amazing guest today. So normally I do my coffee chats with Donna, or sometimes I do Facebook Live. And it's awesome to have a guest, to have a person who like-minded. Donna is a Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond graduate. Yay! So she comes to the table, an experienced DG sister. So what I would like to do is, for those of you who may know me or may not know me, my name is Donna Rudowitz, and I am a psychotherapist and a rapid transformational relationship coach. So I help women going through or post-divorce reclaim their brilliance, really fall in love with themselves again, and then attract true love that lasts. And Donna is a graduate of Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond, and she has achieved that. And so that's one of the things that I felt would be so amazing to have you on today's live. But maybe if you want to go ahead, Donna, and just give a quick introduction of who you are and what you do, and then we'll get right into it.
Okay, sure. So yeah, my name is Donna, and I am like Donna. I am a psychotherapist, licensed professional counselor, and also a graduate of the Divorcing Gracefully program, like Donna mentioned. Let's see, mom of 3 amazing grown children who I don't see often enough because they live across the country, which is hard. Also, I have learned so much over the years. But I guess beyond that, let's see, I am newly married, and that was definitely a product of, I think, some of the things we're going to talk about today. I don't know if you want me to kind of dive into that a little bit.
Into it. Okay, all right. Because just for everybody who's here, Donna has a very tight schedule, so we've got her for 20 minutes. So today's Facebook Live is going to be pretty much 20 minutes to a T. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, so yeah, I as a therapist myself, I was already doing a lot of work. I got divorced very unexpectedly after 27, 28 years. And a lot around that time I was in my graduate program. So I was learning a lot of tools for self-care. And that was something that just really, really struck out to me as something that I recognized that I was not doing. I was putting everybody else first. It was people pleasing, all of that stuff that I think as women sometimes
I think it's the majority of us, Donna, honestly.
Yeah,
we fall into this trap of people pleasing, of doing for everybody else. And
if everybody else is happy, then we're happy, right? But it doesn't work that way. And so when you're
it's what we think, but it's not really true.
Exactly. And so when you're thrust into, oh my gosh, what happened? What's going on? What's next? What do I do? I really found myself exploring what was important to me, what I needed. The concept of self-care and self-love was kind of foreign, but I had a lot of wonderful people in my life that really encouraged me to do some of that exploration. Fast forward a few years later, I was in a position, I started dating again, and then we had a breakup after about a year and a half. And around that time is when you and I connected.
Right. Yeah.
And I wasn't sure about doing this whole thing. And then we had our first meeting together, and I was like, okay, like there's that missing piece, right? Like,
yes,
I was teaching others, but there was still that piece that I needed to get. And so we spent our few months doing the Divorcing Gracefully program. And I learned that I think the block that I had was connecting from here to here.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like I had a lot of up here, but actually having it sink down.
Yeah.
And I think that the piece that I really learned from your program is how to kind of get it to sink in, which is a lot of, the intention, the self-talk. And I had done a lot of the self-talk work, but when you're thinking in terms of wanting to get that next relationship and have it work and be all you want it to be, there are just things that you can do to make what you want more more real.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense, right?
More
relevant, more real, more deeper than just the surface. Well, I want a good relationship. I want this, I want that, right? You know, but it was more specific. And I think that is what helped make it more real.
Yes, and it's intentional, and it's what I would call like laser focused. I guess everybody here is, or maybe familiar with the whole bulletproof coffee phase, right? People are doing the bulletproof coffee because it has in it the, I don't know if it has vitamins and minerals, but whatever is in that really gives you the ability to maintain your weight and to feel good and to feel this level of energy because it's focused, it's laser focused. So like you said, Donna, and even in my own life, we're creatures of softening, right? Which is, we just say softened statements, which is, I want a good life. But what is good life, right? What is a good life?
What does that mean, right?
And what does it mean? And the universe loves us so much. It's going to give us what we want. And a good life could be not what we really want, right? We could be, I like to say, I don't want a good life. I want an exceptional life. Right. And an exceptional life means that I have a level of intimacy with my husband that is a true level of intimacy. It means that I have a relationship with source and the universe and my clients as deep and intimate level where there's friendships being formed. There's joy in the day. You're waking up with hope in spite of the circumstances.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
We're not generalizing. We're focused on our goal. And we know that when we have intentional focus, laser focus, bulletproof focus, it's not if our goal is going to come to us. It's a matter of when.
Right.
And now we can bring in excitement. So, Donna, we spoke a little bit before this conversation, and we were talking about the self-love part. Do you have anything that you could, share with us there on your journey? Because I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be the spoiler alert for people, but Donna did do the work, right? You did the work. You showed up. You found what that missing piece was, and you're married today. Like you took the shift. You found your soulmate. So what would you say was the journey along the way with your identity and self-love and those pieces that took you?
Yeah. So I think for me, I really ended up doing a lot of work around the whole codependency piece.
Yeah.
That was huge for me. And it really was kind of like that aha. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's
true.
And once I realized that for me, that meant I needed to start trusting my own instinct, trusting my gut, even if it didn't agree with everybody else in the room. Yeah. That didn't matter. If I felt that was what was best for me, I needed to be able to voice that and be okay if somebody disagreed.
How powerful is that, Donna, right? Is learning how to align and embody your soul's guidance, right? That inner GPS system, so powerful.
Very. So like a really good example is before I did my work with you, I was going back into that whole dating scene, and it was one of the first few people that I went out on a date with, and we had planned like a Saturday, we had planned like this whole thing that we were going to do. I don't know why, but anyway, we did.
Don't know why, but we did.
It was like halfway through the day.
Yeah.
And he gave me like that question. So what do you think? Like, where do you see this going? Like, are you interested at all? Blah, blah, blah. And I had been thinking to myself, oh, this is friend mode. Just friend, like that's what I'm feeling. I'm not feeling any attraction. I'm not feeling any of that, but very nice person. And it was really hard for me to say that to him. But at the same time, I felt like, okay, well, if I repeat my pattern, I'll go into, oh, I'm having a great time here. Yeah, like I'll see you again, and then dreading it until the next date, right?
Why do we do that to ourselves, right? It's so
I don't know. I don't know
until we don't. Until, like you said, until you decided, wait a minute, I'm not going to do this pattern anymore. I'm choosing the old pattern no longer.
Exactly. So I took a deep breath. I swallowed hard, took another deep breath, and I said, gosh, you're, just such a very nice person, this and that, but I really am only seeing this, as a friendship, and I hope that is okay with you. And he was disappointed, but yeah, he, he's like, that's fine. He's like, let's continue on with our date. Let's have a nice dinner. But I was like, are you sure?
And, you sure you don't want to maybe?
And he did, and we ended up having several other, dates, but as friends, he sent me beautiful bouquet of flowers. It was crazy. But that was like a turning point for me because I had to trust what I was feeling and voice it. More importantly, trust it and voice it. Yeah. As opposed to not trusting it and squashing it down.
Yes.
Because that's what I had been doing, even toward, at the end of my marriage, even longer than the end of my marriage, my intuition was one way and I was acting in another way to try and please my husband. And being okay with, well, just, lighten up, get with the program. You're too serious, right?
Yeah.
My insides were in turmoil because I wasn't being true to, I was like, no, I don't like I don't like this. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. It was, okay, well, I must be wrong because he's my husband. You know what I mean? So
yes. There's a lot of confusion because there's a lot of like, I often will say, don't should on me, right? Because that's what we should do this, or our role is to be doing this. And we align to this particular identity that may not be the identity that we've chosen. It actually has been placed upon us. And then all of a sudden now we're, kind of like, wow, wait a minute, something's off. So tell me how you met your husband. Like, where did the shift come in meeting him? Because I know we only have some time left and I know everybody's going to be curious on how that happened.
So let me see. I met him towards the end of our time together.
Yeah.
And it was shortly after I made my list of what I wanted in my partner more specific, more.
Yes. More again, not I want a partner, but we went through the whole specificity, right? Of how to do it, what to say, what not to say, how to bring it in.
Yeah. And that was, I had already made that list before you and I started, but through our work together, I was like, I ended up with like the third or fourth draft of it, right?
and much more, what I would say is precise.
Yes, much more precise. And I've gone back and I can look at areas where I could have even clarified it even more. So anyway, we actually ended up meeting through friends, but I was also very intentional with my words because I had wanted to leave the state and go somewhere else. And but I had a feeling that I wasn't going to be able to because my brother is autistic and very independent, but our mom passed. She was his only person. Now I was his only person. And I was realizing I might not be able to leave the state because he's not ready to retire and things like that yet. So anyway, I was very specific and jokingly, and I just said, okay, God, if you want me to stay here, I don't want to do this by myself. You need to bring me your husband for me. Yeah. Because I don't want to do it alone. And 2-3 weeks later, Renz, my husband, and I reconnected through mutual friends. We had met in 2017 for like 20 minutes. I was not ready to start dating yet. And he was actually in a relationship. So it was like, oh, great. Nice person.
Right. Nice to see you. Right. But that's it.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. But he thought I was, cute and sweet.
It cats me out. What are you kidding?
He was in a relationship. So it didn't, nothing happened. After all of this and I was in this space, our mutual friends were connecting. Renz was there and he found out that I was recently single again. I was out of my 1.5-year relationship. He was out of his relationship. And he just took that first step. And it went very quickly, very intentional. Neither one of us wanted to get back on the dating websites or anything like that. And we were just very intentional. We started talking on a daily basis, hours at a time. And he just said, okay, are you interested enough to pursue this and see where it goes? And I was, and he said, I am too. And so again, we were just very intentional about the time. It's not like we dated and saw each other for a couple of hours
Right. And you know what I also see, Donna? There's another shift that I saw. So number one, I think it's really important to remember that everything emanates from us, meaning we are our own energy frequencies. We are our own radio towers. And when we do the work on ourselves, we emit a completely different frequency. So there's no coincidence that as you did the work on yourself, you changed your vibrational frequency. You had a new frequency that was going out. So did he, right? In the time that he did. So now your frequencies matched. But what I love about your journey and meeting him is in the past, we think we have to do it a certain way. Like we've got to get on Match, or we've got to get on Tinder, or it's got to be this dating website. And it's not that, you know, my philosophy on this. I'm not against it, but I truly believe that your soulmate and match comes to you organically. That he will come out of nowhere and be like, oh my gosh, like where have you, literally he will, it's almost like just God just goes, bloop, okay, here he is. Right?
And that's exactly what happened to us. It was completely out of nowhere, completely unexpected for both of us. And to what you said about it should look a certain way, you know, some people were like, from the time we reconnected until the time he proposed was 26 days.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
And, you know, some people are like, you know, what? And other people are like, oh, yeah, that's amazing. Like when you know, and, you know, especially second time around, right? Like we were both so intentional about what we wanted and what we didn't want that everything was just kind of aligning with like why wait? You know, it was for me at our age, and not that we're super old, but when you are already, you know, empty nester, and you know what you want, you know what you don't want, and you've been intentional about spending all this quality time together.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of continuing to wait just to wait?
And I think for you too, is that when you have your toolbox of what it is you deserve, and I'm not saying deserve as in I'm better than you, you're better than me. It's just that I love myself enough to know that I will not tolerate a relationship that is, you know, X, Y, and Z, that I'm only available for a man and for a relationship that fits my manifestation, right? And so what I teach you to do, right, is we don't go below 95%. If he doesn't meet 95% of that list, he's out the door. Like, why wait? Like, we just, it's fine. He could be a nice person, but we're not wasting time. So when, like you said, when you're in that intentional space, and you're looking at this and saying, okay, well, this is where it meets, this is where it meets, this is where it meets. And you also know what a healthy relationship looks like and what one doesn't, what you want, what you're not willing to have. You have contrast, right? And so you're not going out in the woods trying to figure it out all by yourself and holy shit, like, I don't know which way to go. You're going out, like you said, intentional. You know exactly what you want. You know exactly where you're going. And it's not about if, it's just about when. And when it comes, this is another big part, Donna. Tell me, and I know we have to close soon, but tell me if this was a big piece for you or not, is the ability to receive a good relationship.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Because we're our own abundance blockers. That we could say we want this great relationship, but because we've been operating at a level of chaos in our lives, and our soul fracture is now guiding us instead of our spirit guiding us, we're following our soul fracture, that when a good relationship comes to us, we don't really know what to do with it or how to handle it, so we sabotage it.
Right,
or we won't even allow it in. We won't even make it past door number one. And, you know, we end up attracting more of what we don't want, right? And those are the men in the relationships that are just going to reinforce that idea of, see, this is what happens. There's no good men out there. Or, you know, like a pattern that a lot of people will tell you, oh, you know, like he's just going to want a younger woman. Or, you know, there's a million things that society will tell us. And here at Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond, we close that door. That's not even on our list. We don't even allow that to come into it.
Yep, absolutely. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we both are still completely blown away, I guess, by, you know, by what's happened, you know, and neither one of us were expecting it, like I said. And especially with COVID and the lockdown, and, you know, we're together 24/7, you know.
Yes,
I mean, I have my office here.
You're really learning
office,
about
we
each
meet
other.
for lunch,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, we'll take a break or something, go get some water or tea during the day and pop in and say hi to each other. But, you know, I mean, for how the world has been, it's been a very interesting ride. And like he said, you know, we have just thrived in this craziness of the world today. So
because it's healthy, you know, and that's the difference, is when we're in an unhealthy relationship, or when we're in a place where there's a power struggle, right, where the relationship isn't equal, you know, where the other person is looking for something from that other person, like, I need you to be this in order for me to be happy.
Right.
Once we take that off the table and we could say, I'm happy here, you're happy, and now together we could be happy. Right. But we could cherish it, and it's interrelationship, right? It's not codependent, like you said. It's interrelationship. And I think the most important thing, Donna, that I really just have to say, which I think is so beautiful, is the surrender. Is you co-created, you knew exactly what you wanted, but then you surrendered to God and said, God, I'm not going to try to figure out the how I'm going to meet him. I'm going to figure out what I want, and then I'm going to let you figure out the how. And I see this all the time with the women I work with, is that they could be in Timbuktu with literally the only other person in the town being one of those rolling things, like there's no people, and they'll meet their soulmate in the weirdest of ways, in the weirdest of because it has nothing to do with where you're located or how many people live in your town. It has everything to do with how you are showing up in the world, and what your frequency is, and what your belief system is. Right?
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And what you're deciding. Ray said, thank you. You're welcome, Ray. I'm so glad that this conversation is helpful to you. But yeah, so it's showing up with a belief system of, I may not know how to do it. I may not know how, but then like you said, you knew you needed to do something different, and that's how you came to me. You know, and I feel like I was just the beginning of your journey and and your blossoming of who you are, right? That where you and I met, that was your phase, and you learned, and now you've taken it to the next level, and will continue taking it to the next level, right? So, gosh, I am so happy that this is where you're at. I honor the work that you've done, because the work, while it's good for us, isn't always easy, right? It's hard, but it can be challenging. Right? Knocking on the door.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's very challenging.
We've become masters of lifting up the carpet and just throwing. Let's look at this tomorrow. I really need to look at this today. Let's look at this tomorrow. And Audrey says, thank you so much for sharing your story. It gives me hope.
Oh, you're good. So I'm glad.
Yes.
I'm really glad. Yeah.
Really. And that's really what this conversation was, is there's hope for you in whatever you want, whether you want a relationship where you're married, whether you want a relationship where you're just together, right? Where you're ready just to do the relationship with yourself and not even bring another person in, because that's where you and I started your work, right? Is we said no dating.
And I want to just mention that really quickly, I had to get to that place where I was comfortable with myself first.
Yes.
Because I hadn't had that in many, many years. And I knew that if I couldn't be comfortable at the end of the day in my own living room by myself, then it wouldn't be good for me to jump into another relationship. I had to have that comfort level first.
Yeah.
It's really important.
So true. It all starts with us. And it's knowing that anything is possible with the work that you want, the love that you want, the life that you want, anything is possible. And our job isn't to get caught up in the how, it's to figure out, it's the what. But again, it all begins with us. We have to do the work on us first, because it's about learning how to receive too. Because we could say we want all of these good things, but if we don't acclimate ourselves up to this new abundance level, again, we will resist it subconsciously, because we don't know how to receive it. That's why a million people who win $1 million, or these lottery winners, you'll see them 3 years later, they're broker than broke.
Right, exactly.
Abundance, what I would say, consciousness yet, right? So anyway, thank you so much for sharing your story. As you can see, there's so many people here who are loving your story, and there's going to be plenty more who will be listening to the replay. So any last things that you'd like to tell anybody before we close, or anything you'd like to share?
I'm trying to think. Just, don't give up on yourself. Do the uncomfortable work. You are definitely worth it. And
amen to that.
Take the love for yourself it goes into every single relationship, your children, your girlfriends, your coworkers, all of it. When you start to love yourself, you will just kind of walk in a different peace and gratitude in your life that you always were looking for, but it really does start with yourself. And so don't give up. You are totally worth it.
Thank you so much, Donna. All right.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.